What's going on, guys? It's Zaraf here. We're going to jump right into it today, and we have a tier list for our first week playing Marvel Rivals, and just my honest opinions. Agree or don't, these are my opinions. Let's get into it. All right, I hope you guys are ready for the hottest takes you've ever heard. Or maybe they're not at all. I haven't even looked at this list entirely. I have some pre-existing thoughts, but let's get into it. All right, we'll just go straight up. We've got. Is this alphabetical order? No, it's not. Not at all. Okay, I was like Adam, Iron, Hulk. Never mind. So, Adam Warlock. This is actually one of my favorite picks for healer. I think he's very good for, honestly, kind of like a starter pick. Very safe. He doesn't have a whole lot of escapes, but, you get the resurrection for yourself and your teammates. So, I think he's very, very good. I'm honestly going to put him into A tier to start us out. I may shift some things around as we go, but honest opinion starting, I think he's A tier. He does really good damage, really good healing, very bursty. So if you have anybody consistent with him, he does phenomenally. And that ult, yeah, he deserves A tier just for having the ult, honestly. Iron Fist, S tier. I don't even need to talk about this guy. He chases Iron Man down better than anybody. He locks on, he flies, he does a ton of damage. He's basically invulnerable. He self heals better than the healers heal. Yeah, he's something. We'll leave it at that. Iron Man. I think Iron Man is probably B tier. I think he's really strong. His ultimate's crazy strong. He has a lot of mobility. He's kind of hard to pin down. But what you'll notice, the higher you get into your rank games, or you play with more like-minded people that go, hey, it's an Iron Man, and they take him out, he's really not that much of a problem. Because if you get any of these snipers, or you have an Iron Fist makes him at best B tier right now because Iron Fist is meta and he's in every game. Jeff. So Jeff's ult is an absolute game changer, but that's pretty much what makes him great. I'm going to put him in A because his ult is so good for control points that he deserves at least an A. His ult is S tier in control points. And honestly, in push the payload and things like that too, he's still very, very good. His healing's strong enough. His damage is decent. He has good escape, good mobility. I think he's A tier. I think I'd probably put him in B tier if he had a different ultimate. Because he's relatively easy to pick off, even if he's moving around. If you have a melee character, you can kill him pretty easily. Loki, I'm actually gonna put Loki. I'm gonna put Loki in A tier. You're going to find that I have a high opinion of a lot of characters. You may be a little disappointed. Some of your favorites to dog on may end up B. Loki's one of my favorite healers, too. He has solid splash, solid healing, solid damage, solid survivability because of his invisibility and his clones. His teleporting to the clones. His ultimate is... It's anyone's ultimate. So, depending on your team and the enemy team, his ultimate makes him at least bump up a tier. Because you can pull a Star-Lord, pull a Jeff, pull an Iron Fist. You suddenly have two Iron Fists, So, Loki, I think, is very, very good. I think he's got a little higher of a skill ceiling. He's not that hard to play, honestly. I think he's a little... People overcomplicate him. He's not that hard to play. I think he's A tier. Luna Snow. Luna Snow is also very strong. I think she's A because... I would put her in S if she didn't require aiming. Because I think her healing is very, very strong. Her ultimate is crazy strong. It pretty much just makes your team invulnerable for, how long? 8, 10 seconds? It lasts forever. So yeah, she's definitely A tier. Just because of the aiming, I think she'd be S tier if you didn't have to aim. And if you're really good, or you're on PC especially, she's S tier. Give her A. You'll find me landing a lot of people in A, I promise. Magic. I think Magic is really strong, but she really requires healers to be on her because she gets an okay amount of recovery from her damage dealing. But I think she's really reliant on having good healers. And if you play by yourself or you don't have a full team, so you don't have designated two strategists, I think you're going to suffer a little bit playing Magic because there's a lot of other melee characters like Iron Fist that just kind of put her out of her misery. Very good mobility, very high skill cap character. I think that if you're really good with Magic and you really have her combos down, she is a monster. Magneto, I'm gonna put Magneto in B. Magneto was really, really good in the beta. I think he fell off a little bit. One, with the adding of a lot of his melee characters, who are very strong right now, and also just the nerfing of the. I feel like his damage dropped off a little bit, as well as the team up with Scarlet Witch. Because if you used the Chaos team up with his sword, he was S tier all day, every day in the beta. You would team wipe a team basically by yourself because he was doing like more damage than Thor's Awakened form with that sword, and it was just free. You know, every I think like 25, 30 seconds, you get that sword for 5, 6 seconds. You can just kill, at least their squishies immediately. Mantis. I think Mantis is very good. I think she is a little more reliant on skill, just because she has a little more single target. If you can land those sleeps, though, Scarlet Witch comes out, slept, she immediately has no ultimate. Her ult is also very good. It's very similar to Luna Snow's, just minus the damage. That sleep is phenomenal. PSA, you can help your teammate out of a sleep. You can shoot the ghost behind it. I'm going to make a video on that, but just while I'm here talking about Mantis, shoot the ghost. I'm going to put her into A because she just has tremendous critical damage, and she can really kind of fend for herself. I feel like a lot of the healers are really like they all are. Yeah, I'm putting her in B. I feel like Loki is B before she's B though. Now, okay, we'll drop Loki B. I'm playing favorites. We'll drop her to B. Can't have every healer in A, right? Just healers have such a strong presence in the game right now that I feel like they're all basically A or S tier. Moon Knight, S tier. If you're really good with Moon Knight and his onks especially and his ultimate, you can clear a point by yourself. You can do it from very far away because those onks, the damage drop off doesn't affect them. And you can really just kind of sit in the shadows, especially if you have a cloak and dagger on your team. You can get that invisibility. You can really be a problem from behind. Drop that ultimate, clear a point. The point's yours. I think he's very, very strong, especially if you're good. That's kind of where skill would come in a lot with him, but he's just very good. Namor, I'm gonna throw down here. He's gonna be one of our first lower rankings because of what he does. He's supposed to be a strong, kind of up front sniper at the same. I don't know. He has his little turrets that he puts down as little guys. I think they're octopi and kraken something. Anyway, they don't really do nearly as much, I feel like, as they used to. And his whole job was to hit those long shot, ranged headshots, spear throws. And he doesn't do enough damage for his kit. His escape is okay, because you get the invulnerability. It does save you, so if your healers are on top of you, you can get your healing back and you can get back in the game. But you also end up you're just floating there in the bubble, so as soon as you float in the bubble, they just wait for you to get down and you die. I feel like he needs a buff. I feel like he's not very good right now. I may actually throw him in D tier. I actually haven't personally played him yet, but I had only seen him a couple of times and he has performed very, very poorly. I just have not seen his output really happen. Black Panther, I'm going to throw into C as well. I thought we were going to get into a couple of his lower tier characters here now. Black Panther is pretty strong. If you land those combos, it's just, again, if you have characters like Iron Fist who do what Black Panther does for free, it's just hard. Because Black Panther, you would have to land your spear, land a dash, land the spiral kick, land another dash to do what Iron Fist did by clicking right click and punching Iron Man out of the sky. You get your dash kick and you punch and you keep locking onto him. It's free. So he doesn't feel great right now. He feels like, again, if I'm going to play Black Panther and Iron Fist is free, why am I playing Black Panther? It's unfortunate, but it's true. Penny Parker is S tier. Penny, I think, is probably the best tank in the game. Not necessarily because they're the best at tanking, but their damage is tremendous. Their sustain is tremendous, which, okay, that's tanking, yeah. She's really, really good on defense, especially. She's still good on offense, but just her ultimate is good for disrupting. Her ultimate's probably the worst part of her kit. But if you get those mines planted correctly and you're good kind of feeding those mines in, they can do tremendous damage. Her webs are good at disrupting. Her little pods are good at distracting people. It gives them another thing to have to target on the field. So I think Penny is a great, great tank. Highly, highly recommend playing her. I'm gonna probably, I think for S tier, we'll swap it around here to see like one per roll or maybe two per roll. Let's see, Psylocke. I think Psylocke's pretty strong in the right hands. I think like her ultimate is really good because it's basically a freebie if you can get the zoning control, especially if you can pair it with something like a Doctor Strange or even a Jeff. If you have Jeff, it's not just gonna go kill themselves and like run off into the abyss somewhere with their team. Or you're in a more confined choke point, you're not sure you're gonna get there. You can always throw them into Psylocke's ult like you can with a lot of things. I would love to see that utilized more, honestly. It's much more flashy, and then you don't have to lose your Jeff. Rocket Raccoon is also very good. I don't know. Like, Rocket, I think, has even more potential than people give him credit for because he has armor packs that nobody uses on the reviving beacon. Little revive bot. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. Reviving system. Anyway, it drops armor packs. So if you ever played old Torbjorn in Overwatch, these were great, and you can actually grab them as bonus health at the start of the game too. So you can start your first team fight with more health than the other team, and then it also will heal you. And his healing's really good. He's pretty much free. I highly recommend playing him for like duelists who get stuck as a healer because you can just kind of alternate your machine gun and your healing, and keep your team pretty healthy. His healing's strong. His ultimate's strong. You can really hold down a point really well because it has a lot of health and gives your team a good damage buff. So yeah, Rocket's A. I don't like Loki's probably the only healer here that I could say is B tier. Really thinking about it. Scarlet Witch, she's B. I give her a B tier because like she has really good damage, but she's more annoying than anything because she will always be up behind your team and kind of distracting. But really, if you have a solid team, especially in comms, you can turn around and kill that Scarlet Witch no problem. I don't think she's really that much of an issue. Her ultimate is just a really awkward diva ult, in my opinion, to where it does the same thing, where it does a ton of damage and a big AoE, can clear a point, but she's also very vulnerable and very loud. Pretty much every time I hear her ultimate, everyone just looks to the sky and shoots her down. I very rarely see her actually effectively get to ult. So I'm going to give her a B tier because she's good. Her escapes are really obnoxious. She's a very safe pick, honestly, because you'll do your damage and whatever. I don't know. I don't think she's like a high elo character. Spider-Man. I'm going to put Spider-Man in B just because Spider-Man is very similar to Wanda, actually. Very, very obnoxious to pin down. Does some really solid damage now that he got buffed since the beta. If he's paired with Venom, I'd probably put him in A, but that requires Venom. Venom players are kind of here and there, but with that symbiote thing, he can pretty much like web bomb, uppercut, symbiote bomb, and kill a squishy. Like it's quick. So he's a really good assassin, and he pairs really well with Venom because it gives Venom extra health. He gets that buff. I think he's still B tier though, because if you don't know how to play him really well, he's not that great because it does require some skill. Squirrel Girl, I think, is an A tier. She's just really free to use, and especially if you're lower elo climbing the ranks, I think she's really strong because people just don't know how to deal with just that constant bombardment of damage. She does a lot of damage. It's like 115 or something. Like, it does a ridiculous amount of damage per nut that she shoots, and it bounces around, it explodes, it has splash damage. Her ultimate's kind of funky, but it's good. She has a lot of mobility with that refreshable leap. I almost always use that refresh with a leap, but the snare is also very strong. I've caught myself like snaring Hulk as I'm getting snared, and it's kind of a standstill. But Squirrel Girl's very good. A tier on that. Star-Lord I'm gonna put in the B tier. He does good damage. Reminds me, obviously, of Tracer in Overwatch. I'm going to try not to make too many comparisons, but I think they're important right now at the early state of the game. And people coming over from Overwatch to kind of know what they're talking about. He does good damage. He's very mobile. His ultimate is really, really good. Because it is, again, Overwatch comparison. Star-Lord basically is soldier ult on jetpacks. He just goes into the sky, and then you get that tons and tons of damage. One of the things I love to do playing Loki is playing into him, and then he ults, and then I ult, I kill him, and then I kill his team. Uh, Storm. Storm is probably down here in C. I think she's good. Like I played her a little bit on stream, and she did a good job. She does okay damage. It's just that if you have Storm, you might as well have Iron Man. But at the same time, she does give the team boosts, which are nice. So I think Storm in like competitive play, especially if you can give that damage boost to a Hawkeye or a Bucky or somebody who does a lot of like heavy hit burst that'll make a difference in a 2 headshot or a 3 headshot tank kill, I think she's going to see a lot of competitive play, even while being a little, lower on the tier list. So she doesn't do a whole lot herself. Paired with Thor, I would probably put her up to like A, because she gets so much extra damage having another lightning bolt from Thor Force. But I'd put her in a C. She's not bad. Like honestly, I wouldn't say any character is bad. Namor is probably the closest thing to bad, in my opinion. Punisher, he's a good B. Actually, can I do like B plus? He's gonna be like B plus, because he does a lot of damage. He's very easy to use. He is the soldier of his game. His ultimate does wild damage, but I think he's also very vulnerable without a solid tank kind of picking for him. Because, the turret's annoying, but if you get a Wolverine or an Iron Fist, somebody to dive him, he's going to die. He can't really handle it, because unless you're playing on PC or you have really high sensitivity and you're good at flicking around and following, he's going to get hit in the back by, those melee characters. So, he's good. He does his job. B tier, easy to play. I wouldn't not recommend playing him. He's fine. Thor, I think, is S tier. This may be entirely biased. I don't know everybody else's opinion on Thor yet. I think Thor is like second best thing in the game. I think he does a really, really good job, especially in solo queue, of just kind of making up for, not being sure about your healers, not being sure about your damage. He does a lot of damage. He has a lot of self-healing with the bonus health from his passive. So every time he uses a skill, he gets bonus health. He does a ton of damage with his Awakening. I think he's one of the best characters in the game. He can kind of fight Iron Fist, if that's any, that's something. But no, I think he's phenomenal. He's my favorite character right now to play, because I end up stuck in playing tank pretty often. And so I'll play Thor all day and have no problem with it. I probably have like an 80-85% win rate with Thor right now, so highly recommend picking up Thor. Do some practice with him. He's good. Black Widow, I think she's like B tier. I think she's really good personally, because like if you can land those headshots, she does a lot of damage. And even an 80 body shot is great, because you can use it as a hip fire, so you aren't required to like hard aim to at least poke at somebody and do some decent damage. Because think about it, 80 is about a third of a squishy's health bar, so if you have any help with that, you can take somebody out. Her mobility is really nice. She basically has Captain America's little mobilities where she can sprint and jump really high, so you can do trick shots. So she's very fun to play. She's a very fun sniper against like a lot of other sniper characters I've played over the years. So I recommend picking her up. I think she's going to see some good skill expression. I'm very glad she doesn't get damage boost from from Storm or Mantis or Rocket, things like that, because I think she would be a problem like Hawkeye is. We'll get into him later though. Venom, I think Venom's around a B tier too. My thing is, like, B tier is not bad, y'all, right? Like, that is middle of the line. They do their job fine. There just may be something that does their job better. And like I think Thor does a better job at being the bruiser. Then I think, like, if you're going to be playing him to zip around and go in and out, you might as well play somebody like Spider-Man. You might as well play a DPS, right? His big survivability is nice. He is very, very healthy, because, you can initiate with your ult. If you get low, you can get your health back up. You can fight a little while. You can pop your shield passive and get your health back up again. And you have healers, so he's really, really hard to kill if you know how to weave your abilities right. But I don't think he's, like, really, really, game-changing. I think he's just really obnoxious. So he's a good bruiser. So if you have your team that can kind of take advantage of him making people look at him, I think he's good. But I'd say B tier. Winter Soldier, I'm actually going to put into S rank. I think it was a little unfair to like Psylocke and Luna for the skill expression, but I think Winter Soldier is one of the best duelists in the game just because of the fact that he gets so many ult resets. It gives him a ton of ability, a ton of maneuverability. He gets so much damage with his gun, even if it's very bursty because of a 3-shot then reload. But he has so much mobility with his ult. He gets that pull, which is really, really good at engaging on somebody and canceling some ultimates. I know I've been shut down quite a few times of like popping my ult and he immediately grabs me, cancels the whole thing. I'm on 50% cooldown. He's very, very strong. I think he has a really high skill expression too. He's not necessarily hard to play, but he has a really good skill ceiling. Just because if you can really plan those backfire of his primary shots, he can do a lot of team damage. I think he's really, really good. Cloak and Dagger is probably going to be our S rank healer, I would say, for a strategist, because they not only do solid damage, so you get kind of that additional damage that you don't get as much from other characters. You know, a lot of your healers not going to be keeping up on your damage like these guys are. Cloak does a ton. Dagger still does a good amount with her daggers. But also the healing is really good. The escape is really good. The ultimate's really good for clearing a whole point and keeping your team healthy. I think they're the best healer in the game right now. Got to put them in S rank. And they're just one of the best characters I've ever played in a hero shooter. They're so clean. It's one of the best designs I've ever seen. Wolverine. Wolverine's probably C tier. Don't get me wrong. I love Wolverine. He's so much fun to play, but I think he's very specific, and he's only good at really kind of pinning down one squishy at a time. Like, pin down a duelist, preferably a healer, because if you try to attack a duelist, the healer is going to out-heal your damage. Unless you're, like, blowing ult on him, you know. His ultimate is really, really strong. His combo's really good. But since he's more, like, damage over time, tank damage, percentage health, there's a lot of healers that kind of just negate everything he's doing if you don't take them out first. So, maybe it's based on priority. Maybe I need to play him a little more. I think he could use just a little bit of a buff. But not too much, because I think if he gets enough of a buff, he'll be way too strong. Because he has that percentage health. You give him too much base health damage, then he's going to be killing tanks in 2 hits, and we don't want that. So I think C tier is a good place for him. I think he's good. I don't think there's anything wrong with him. But, again, you look at these other melees, I think Magic probably does a better job than he does. Spider-Man blows people up better than he does. And there's Iron Fist. So what's the point of playing a different melee character? Captain America, I'm actually putting him pretty low. He's going D tier, honestly. I think I'm putting him below Hulk. Captain America with Thor Force almost does damage. Otherwise, man, I feel like I'm just tickling people with Cap. If I can single out a healer and sometimes win that fight. If it's like a Mantis, it doesn't headshot me. But Captain America he's okay, you know, like he's really good at being obnoxious. His ultimate seems kind of lackluster. I don't really ever get a lot of benefit from using it, I feel like. I'm hard to kill. I don't feel like it's benefiting my team as much as it usually should. That could be my team not stepping in it. You know, there's a lot of factors here. It's the first week. People could figure out how to play him, myself included, and he could pop up a little bit. I just think with just his stats and his damage, I don't think he really plays that part very well. Because, again, if you want to play Cap, you want to absorb some damage, you want to be a nuisance, you want to do some, you know, get in there and survive, well, you have Venom. And if you have Venom, you have Thor. So, like, I can't see a reason to play Cap if you can play Thor. That's where I'm at the moment. Doctor Strange, I feel like, is A tier. He has very good damage with his basic. He feels like kind of a better Magneto just generally right now. For 2 reasons, because his shield is not on a cooldown, it's on a health pool, and so you get a little more control over that. He obviously can't shield teammates like Magneto can, but I think that's fine, you know, because if you're in front of people, then that's fine. He does okay. His little bursty damage is cool. It's a lot better with Hulk. But he has the portal, and the portal is just such a massive team function that you get to use, that I think it really kind of elevates him a little higher than Magneto currently. But I think Doctor Strange is a good tank. His ultimate is also phenomenal, because really his portal is almost, it feels like an ultimate. I mean, he has another ultimate of the Eye of Agamotto. So I think Doctor Strange is very strong. Hawkeye, I think, is probably, he's probably A tier. Um, he may be S tier. I haven't personally played him, so I won't give him too much credit because I feel like I can shut him down pretty well. Um, but like I play my brother all the time. He kills it with Hawkeye. He's always like top of the team, good damage, good kills. He's also the only person who can one shot someone in the game, so that's something to consider going into playing somebody with a high skill expression. Hawkeye's going to be a problem especially if you don't have any shield tanks. If you don't have anybody to block that headshot, he's going to be down in your back line, and you're just not going to have a healer. So I think he's very, very good. He also gets damage buff, like I said, so he can like 2-tap tanks if he headshots them. Yeah, very, very, very good character, very good sniper character. A little better than Black Widow, so I put him like one tier above Black Widow there. Groot, I think, is a really solid tank. I think he's probably a B tier. Him, Magneto, and Strange, I always kind of feel a little bit of this kind of, we can kind of, interchange because like Magneto's a little more damage. Doctor Strange is a little more CC. Groot's a little more defense. They're kind of all very similar play styles. Groot's fun because he has all the walls. He has the kind of team synergies you can use with like Rocket and Jeff to give him extra health. He really is just a monster bonus health wise between his passive and Jeff or Rocket being on his shoulder. So I think it's good. It also usually keeps your healer on you, so there's a benefit in that. Very good at kind of holding a point if you have characters who work with that. But I think he's B tier. There's nothing wrong with him. He does a good job. I think, but yeah, he's right there between B and A, kind of like Venom, like B plus. Hela, I think, is probably B tier. Just because I feel like there are characters that do her job better now. I feel like Moon Knight is better at Hela's job because he's easier to use. Hela requires kind of those headshots and isn't quite as free to play as Moon Knight. And then you have like Hawkeye, you have Black Widow, you have Psylocke, that do a lot of similar things. Like Adam Warlock basically does the damage Hela does if you hit headshots. So it's hard to say. Hela, I think, is very high skill expression. I think you have a really solid front line. Hela can be just absolutely nasty. But I'm putting her in B tier for now. I do kind of expect her to be around this place because she definitely got nerfed from the last time, from the last beta, because she was a monster in the beta. Absolute monster. Hulk is going to also kind of sit down here in the C tier. I like Hulk. I think Hulk's a lot of fun. I think he does a good job. I think he is he's like C plus if Venom is B, He can jump in there, he can disrupt. He has the team shield is really good. You can eat like an entire ultimate if your team just, kind of groups together. I need to play test that ultimate a little more too, because it's really cool that he can get his ult faster using the shields. And it's just fun to grab the person of your choice and slam them around on the ground, MCU style. But yeah, I think Hulk is fine. I think he does a good job being just kind of that bruiser tank. I just think he doesn't tank as well as like Venom does. I mean, he doesn't really have the disruption and the melee damage that Thor does. And so again, you have that ability to kind of dive. I think if you pair Wolverine with Hulk, I think both of them kind of get elevated a little bit to maybe B, because Wolverine has so much more mobility and Hulk has that kind of, a synergy with him. So like if you played Hulk with Iron Man and Wolverine, right? Like Hulk could be a good pick because both of them get a really, really good buff off of that. He gets more health. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like he sits there around C tier. So, all right, I got to know, what do you think? What are your opinions? I know this list is probably going to be way different than a lot of the players' tier list, but that's why I'm making it, right? I want my opinion out there. Give me your opinion in the comments. Tell me, what do you think? How wrong am I, right? Give me a good argument. All right, follow, and I'll see you next time.